It's very exciting to talk to you. And I have to admit to you, ladies, I'm feeling a bit of a novice at this. I've not actually Zoomed before because most of us are actually on FaceTime or, WhatsApp. So this is the first time I've Zoomed, but I'm hearing from Pauline that you're all whizzes at this now.
That's true.
Now, I'll just sort of tell you a little bit about, I was telling Pauline this morning that I've actually got the iPad sitting on a box of whiskey. Because we do actually make a whiskey cheese. So I've got 6 bottles of whiskey sitting on my desk, which is the Ben Romick organic, the Speyside single malt whiskey. So if I get a bit stressed, I can reach into the box. Now, we're cheesemakers, obviously, and we started the dairy 16 years ago. And the reason why we did that was because the farm was organic, and the bottom of the organic market. So what we did was we decided to diversify. So we actually got a grant, and we sent a PR person around the countryside to find out what the best thing to do with our milk, whether we're looking at ice cream or other yogurt or other different dairy products. But actually cheese came out top because we use all of our milk for the cheese, whereas ice cream, it's a lot of powdered milk, different things. And yogurt wasn't doing particularly well at that stage. So we just started off, and there's 4 of us involved in Connage Highland Dairy, and that's Callum's younger brother, Cameron, and his wife, Eileen. And Cameron and his family look after the dairy herd, and Callum and I look after the cheese. So it's a challenging business, and it has been certainly over the last year, but we're getting there. So hopefully with things opening up in April, it'll be much better. We just in the last 4 years or 5 years, we've been exporting. So we export to America. We didn't when that man Trump put on a 25% tariff, but they've now that's now off, and we've started exporting to USA again. We export, we were doing Australia and a few other, Japan, but now we're only left really with USA and Hong Kong, funnily enough, and they take the smoked Dunlop, which you're going to taste today. The USA is quite a good market, and we're hoping that one day that we'll be able to send pallets over, but at the moment it's quite small boxes, probably only sort of 60 kilos. What else can I tell you? Oh, well, the story, I don't want to go on too much because I know you're really itching to eat the cheese, aren't you? So I don't know whether you should be nibbling on it while I'm boring you. I hope you have to, now, if you want to ask any questions, just pop in and say, you want to ask me something, because I don't mind being interrupted.
Which cheese do you recommend the ladies start with, Jill?
Oh, the first I would recommend is the Cromwell. Now, Cromwell is it's a brined cheese. So what that means is that there's no salt added into the making of the cheese. Now, we need to use salt, obviously, to to keep the bacteria out of the cheese. So the Cromwell is a fresh, slight Cromwell. It's the youngest one we've got, which is about 3 or 4 weeks old. Oh. And in summer, when it's made with the summer milk, when the cows come outside and gorge themselves on green grass, that when it becomes really quite fresh and lemony. In winter, we just age it on slightly, but it's usually fresh and lemony. Slightly acidic's not a nice word to when you're talking about your product, but it is slightly more acidic than the other cheeses. So it just depends. All the cheeses that we make are very creamy, and the reason why they are creamy is because our cows have a very high clover diet, red and white clover, and that makes a huge difference to the milk. So much so, we think we've got fabulous milk. We've just opened a vending machine here at the dairy, so you can come along and pop your bottle in our vending machine, and it's only full fat milk. We don't actually serve anything else but full fat. You find that with the cows, the difference of their diet does make a difference to the cheese, and you really notice it in young cheeses. So with the brie that we make, or the cromwell, you'll notice that depending on the season, if it's very wet, we had one year that was really wet, the quality of the grass wasn't great because there was so much water, and you do notice that this actually affects the cheese. So you find that your cheese will change a little bit. We call that seasonal changes. We do make Crowdy, our soft curd cheese, but we're not making that at the moment. When we do, that's affected by the seasonal changes. And it's just all to do with what the cows are eating. I think we all forget actually where your milk comes from, especially the young ones. It all comes out of a bottle. They forget that it comes out of a cow, what the cows are eating. So what do you like that one?
What do you think, guys?
Yeah. Good. Lots of thumbs. That's and I keep saying ladies, and I notice there's a couple of gentlemen there. Sorry, gentlemen, I can see you now. The oat cakes that you're eating at the moment is made by Walker's Shortbread. Now, that's an organic oat cake. Walker's Shortbread only make about 2,000 packets for us a year. And when you meet Mr. Walker, Mr. James Walker, Jim Walker, he knows who you are and exactly how many, what you order from him, what product, how many packets you would per year. He's an amazing man. But so yes, that's an addition to ours. But I'm not out the back in the kitchen making those. Sorry, ladies.
Jill, can I just ask, what cows do you have?
The cows we have 3 different sorts of cows. We don't have a pure herd. And what that means is we've got black and whites or Frisian Holsteins. We have a breed that we've had for about 10 or 11 years now, and it's a Norwegian red. And the reason why we brought her on is because her longevity is good. So we bred that into the black and whites. And she's I hope you don't mind, ladies, but she's actually got a really good bag. So that's quite good. The other cow that we use it by AI, so artificial insemination, is the Jersey. Yeah. So we bring Jerseys in, just a few, and what that does, it brings up the butter fat. So you're looking at a higher protein and a higher butter fat to make cheese. You need to have a certain level so that to make good cheese. Yeah.
Is now the right time to confess that I don't like oat cakes?
Oh, I hope there's someone in the family who can eat them.
Oh yeah, that's
fine. Got crackers instead, Kath?
Yeah.
Yeah, good.
Well, I have to admit to you, Kath, when I first came to this country from Australia 28 years ago, I thought oat cakes tasted like cardboard. But I have to say, I've changed now. They are nice. I quite like them. But I don't eat cakes in Australia.
I've got time now because I've only been here 3 years. So
yeah.
Oh well, you couldn't go yet, but yeah, it takes a wee while just to get
acclimatized. Yeah. Thanks, Kath. So I wonder how much Joe, how much of a science brain do you need to have to make cheese?
Sorry, how much? What
much of a science brain do you need to have to make cheese?
Oh, a science degree.
No,
well, I'll leave that up.
Do you need a scientific brain, or can you do it as a kind of quite a natural thing? Do you need to know what you're trying to achieve in order?
Well, I'm very proud of Callum, because Callum's gone from a dairy farmer to a cheesemaker, and that's a huge step.
Yeah.
Because it's not just about now, especially in this day and age. When we first started, it was all about putting your hand into the curds and feeling the curd, and you think, oh, okay, we can pour it off, you know, in half an hour or whatever. Now it's all driven by temperature. It's all driven by your knowledge of cheeses and when to test, when to pour off, all this sort of thing. There's a real skill about it. Certainly you can learn it. You don't need to have any university degree, thank goodness. But we do have technologists that help us out, not with the cheese making, but to keep everything right, because obviously now everything is very, very clean, and you need to be audited. So we get audited twice or sometimes 3 times a year. One year it was 5 times, and that was with FDA from USA. We have a BRC certificate, and also we have environmental health that come and visit us. So it's 2 or 3 times a year, but that's all on the technical side. The thing is about making cheese, it's still a talent, but you still have to be very aware of the conditions and what sort of equipment to use. Yeah. It's getting too technical.
Because otherwise you could just be a boffin and make cheese, but it's more than that, isn't it? It's more of a natural feel for making it, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think the thing is with Callum is that once you're a dairy farmer, understand your cows, you're understanding the milk, and if you understand the milk, then you're sort of halfway there. Yes. Yeah. Right. How are you going with your face? Did you move on?
You're doing well in the chat as well, so that's great. Everyone enjoying so far?
Very good.
Does the Cromwell go with the wine?
Yeah. Very nicely.
Oh,
good. You're drinking red wine, yeah? And Caroline, you've got white wine? Yeah. Good.
Port, Colleen.
Port, Linda.
Yeah, port.
Kath, what are you drinking, Kath?
Oh, that would be good.
Yeah. Kath's got short glass.
It's a Rioja.
Oh, Rioja, nice.
Lovely.
Very nice.
Pauline.
Yes, Linda.
Pauline, can I just say something to Jill? It's not a question. Jill, my son Stuart said to say hello to you. Oh. It was him that he installed your vending machine for you.
Oh, is it?
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, Linda. So in fact, hold of Stuart today.
Sorry?
We're trying to get hold of Stuart today.
Oh, right. Oh, well, I'll tell him as soon as I go off here. I told him last night we were having the talk, and he said, "Oh, please tell Jill that I was asking for her."
Well, you can be very proud of Stuart. Yeah.
Thank you.
I did think, oh my goodness, you've got a vending machine as well, because I know that you've got vending machines, because Linda's husband's a poultry farmer.
Oh, right. Yes. Yeah.
And you've got an egg vending machine, haven't you, Linda?
Yeah.
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 And Stuart's selling lots of them.
Yes.
He tells us how many eggs he's selling. That yeah.
Lots and lots.
Yeah, it's just an amazing way for dairy farmers like us to actually open up, you know, with Brexit and difficult times. It's actually trying to get that happy medium of getting to your customer, and that's one thing that certainly helped with the vending machines, definitely.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Linda. That's great. Enjoying the cheese, Linda, and the port.
Yeah.
I was going to say with your with Cromwell, when it's now getting a little bit warmer. Hopefully, it's going to get warmer. We can, if you like a drink. I don't know. My parents always used to have drinkies at 6 o'clock in the garden. It's a tad warmer out in Australia. But one thing about Cromwell, it's lovely with a prosecco or a chilled white wine. And you know, sometimes we put ice in our white wine. I know that sounds a bit bizarre, but just to make it a long drink, or a Pinot Noir, so something really a light red. It goes really well. Yeah, or vodka.
Yeah, and do you put them in separate glasses, Jill, or do you just put them in the one glass?
tell you what, we really look forward to Friday night.
Yes, I bet you do,
Having
yeah.
a little Friday night. We try not to drink during the week, but Friday night's a little bit different. But moving on, I don't know if you want to try the cheddar next. Leave the smoked one till last. Try the cheddar. Now, the cheddar cheese, sort of we don't make a lot of it. It's well, I suppose we've been making it for about 12 years, I suppose. But what we do is made in a 25 kilo round, whereas the cromwell is only 12 kilos. The cheddar is made in a 25 kilo round, and we hand bandage that. So it goes into the press after cheese making day. So they start, Callum gets the milk at 6 o'clock in the morning, and then it's pasteurized, and then it goes into the vat. They make curds and whey, and then they cheddar it, which you see on the table, and then it goes into the press. Callum in the morning will go in and take it out of the press, turn it over, repress it, and then they hand bandage it. Now, the bandages are cut to the size of the cheese, and he uses a vegetarian, because our cheeses are vegetarian, so he uses an inert plant glue. So that glue actually, you put it on the cheese, and then you put the bandage on the cheese. So the bandages, you have 2 layers of bandages, and then it goes into the store, and it will sit there being turned usually about once a week. They turn them over and brush them down, and that's really for about 18 months old. So the one that you're tasting is around about 18 months old. So yeah. So what we're aiming for with the cheddar, we still want that creaminess that our milk gives you, but what we're aiming for is it's going to be stronger. So anything you age, like wine, you're looking for a longer finish on it. So you should be getting a little bit more of a finish on your tongue than the cromwell. So that's what cheddar's really about. The longer you keep it, the drier it will get, and then because obviously it's a little bit like whiskey, and the angels getting the whiskey vapors, you will lose a bit of the weight from the cheddar. So we're looking for a bigger flavor.
Lots of nodding, Jill.
All right, I can see that.
Is it nice?
Very nice. It's amazing. Yeah, it's really good.
Now cheddar's quite a versatile. You can cook with, do anything with it really. I mean, it's because the fat contents really of any of these cheeses, you're looking at around about between 30 and 47% fat. Now everybody gets quite neurotic about, oh gosh, that red wine looks lovely. Jessica. And so you can do anything with any of these cheeses. You can melt them or cook with them or grate them or just them.
So what do you put round your crowdie, Jill? Because crowdie's crowdie's quite a unique cheese, isn't it?
Well, yeah, when we make it, we'll put it into a pot. So it's not Highland fine cheeses. They actually contain, they're very good at it, peppercorns and oatmeal and things around it in a little log. And I think now and they also have a skinny one as well in a little pot. But the one that we make is actually in a pot, 160 pot. So it's nice and creamy. I think when we first started, crowdie was one of the cheeses we did make. And we started off with that, and it freezes really well. So if you do buy it and freeze it, but it's just the fact it takes so many days to make. So because of lockdown last year, we ran a bit short of cheese towards Christmas. So we're going like clappers now, trying to make up the harder cheeses because you have to age them on for so long. So we've just stopped making crowdie, but it's actually almost a 3-day process to make crowdie. So when we first started, what we did was we started beating it or mixing it try, because originally, now you ladies will be able to tell me more about original crowdy, which is quite lumpy, or used to be quite lumpy. But now what we do is we mix it to make it so it's a bit more spreadable and not so dry.
Yeah.
But I've never heard of crowdy before, and we did have a little when we first started trying to get crowdy down to England, but people in England didn't know what crowdy was. So the actual name, I think, put people off. We called it something else in hindsight.
Well, you'd have got the Scottish cheese police might have been on your case if you'd called it.
Yeah, but lots of people make cakes and things like that. But also, now how are you going with the cheddar, ladies? Are you enjoying it? Good. That's good.
What drinks would you recommend, or not additives? What would you to eat with the cheddar, or to drink with the cheddar?
Well, the French eat. We still haven't caught up with the French eating cheese. I think I can't quite remember how many kilos it is. I think the French do about 50. One Frenchman will eat 50. Is it between 30 and 50? Or 25 kilos? Callum's just in the background. He's writing in the air. 25. I think it's 25 kilos per year for one Frenchman to eat, or one. But the British only eat 11 kilos per person. Now, probably one of the reasons for that is that the British quite like your biscuits, oat cakes. You like eating it with chutneys and jams and all sorts of things, which actually do put on weight. Not the cheese, of course.
No.
And notice that the French actually don't really have it with biscuits. They might have it with bread, but mostly to do with fruit or nuts or something. So I made quite a selection. So if you're going to make a cheese board, it's you don't really need to have too many cheeses. You know, we usually say for about 6 people, only 3 cheeses. But if you want to go 5, because a lot of people actually put too many cheeses out and then throw it away. So we don't like that. So it's much better to really have a pair, 2, 3 really good cheeses, and then pad it out with biscuits. And you can buy lovely chutneys. Tell you what, there's a really nice one called Poacher's Pickle, just made down near the borders. I don't know if you've had that, but it's lovely because it's not too vinegary. But also nuts, dried apricots, dried dates. Also, you can get the little cornichons, or there's some lovely things that you can add. You've got to kind of think outside the box. Apple is fantastic, and also too plums, whatever's in season. I think,
I quite like amaretto with some cheese.
No, Nico. Yeah.
Who's got a doggy? I like amaretto with cheese. It's lovely. I like the kind of sweetness.
Oh yes, yeah. It is. It's we have one biscuit here from Spain called tortas. I don't know if you've ever had a torta biscuit, which is around about that big, and it's sugar. It's toasted, covered in sugar, and it's got a slight fennel flavor. Now, probably you would think that you would have that with a coffee or something, which you can, but we actually put brie on it. So we use it for a brie. So you kind of got to think outside the box, and often that brie will go quite well with a sweet biscuit. Yeah. Hey, on ladies, are you ready to move on to your smoked Dunlop?
Yeah.
Okay, so the smoked Dunlop, now we make ordinary, plain Dunlop, I should say, not ordinary. Gosh, that's a slip of the tongue. We make plain Dunlop, and again, we make it in a 25 kilo round, which is bandaged. But this time we only keep it for 7 months. Now, the reason why we do that is because Dunlop is really more creaminess and more about not so strong flavor. So it's slightly different. Now, there's two of us that make, and one is Anne Durwood from the town of Dunlop. And Anne makes a wonderful Dunlop. And we the other one. Anne has a traditional Ayrshire herd of cows where we have a mixed herd. But for Dunlop, we won the best British traditional cheese for that one, albeit a few years ago, but it was a lovely surprise. So what we do with this is Callum smokes it here at the dairy, and we use whiskey barrel shavings, and you can't actually taste the whiskey in it, but it gives a nice, creamy, not so strong flavor of smoke. So it's not acrid at all. I mean, we do sell in the shop here. Margaret, that looks fantastic. Whatever you're drinking.
It's actually cranberry juice. Looks impressive.
Looks impressive. So Callum smokes that at the dairy. So he or Magda will put it on. Usually in winter we can smoke during the day. In summer we can't. It's a bit too warm. But we usually put it on in winter about 6 o'clock at night, and then when Callum comes down at 6 in the morning, he'll take it out of the smoker. So the whiskey barrel shavings, it's really just we buy them from a barrel maker, and it all comes in a great big bag, and it's already shaved. And then to create the smoke, he adds a little bit of water on top of the shavings, and what that does is when the fire is lit, it gives off smoke. So it's a cold smoke, so it's not a hot smoke, not like your fish. So it's a cold smoke, which makes, obviously your cheese would melt if it was a hot smoke, but it's a love. I like it because it's not too strong.
Mm-hmm. Thumbs up, ladies. Enjoying that one?
What do you?
Yeah. Oh, thumbs up.
That's nice for the Granny Smiths.
Y'all gonna enjoy it, Jill, because they're all.
You can actually, if you don't want to eat your grate it into your mashed potato, or you can cook with it or melt it on toast. It's just a nice versatile cheese.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly I quite like it eating with plums.
Oh yeah.
Known for it in winter.
Mm-hmm.
In summer with a light glass of red. It's quite nice, or a sweet wine.
Yes.
Because mostly, people think that red wine actually, a light red does actually go with most cheeses.
Mm-hmm.
If you're having a blue cheese, try a sweet wine rather than a traditional red.
Oh.
Yeah, because that actually, the sweetness brings out the blue in the cheese.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
have you tried many different types of cheeses then, Jill?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have around about, sometimes at Christmas, before Christmas, we'll have about 120 types of cheese in the cheese room, in the retail room. Obviously that's dropped off quite a lot now. The cheese room's sort of only half empty. So what we do is I taste all of them, and I will taste them before I buy them. So some I buy from cheesemakers direct, others I'll buy from wholesalers. Brexit, I had a little bit of trouble getting some of the softer cheeses from France, but now things are opening up a little bit better, and we haven't had any problems. But because it's been so quiet, because everybody's in lockdown, we're a bit short on the soft cheeses at the moment. It's mostly harder cheeses. Yeah. But I think what I love doing is research. So you've got to remember that actually cheeses from around the world are just because there's different cows, different fields, different grass, different feed. So no two cheese makers can make the same cheese.
No.
So we don't mind. If somebody was saying to us, well, we're going to come along and make your brie or make your cheddar,
Mhm.
we would say, okay, go for it, because it would be totally different, because no cheesemaker from different areas can make the same cheese. They can call it the same thing, but it wouldn't be the same, because it all comes down to the milk. And we're very, very lucky to have our own milk. So we milk 150 cows, and this is done by 2 robotics. So the cows go in and their feed drops down into the hopper. And the door shuts behind her, and then the computer sends out a little arm and washes her teats, and then the computer will send out another arm, and the teats are plugged into the little holders, and then the milk is calculated by the computer, and then off she goes. The gate opens when it finishes, they pull off, and off she goes. Then she gets out, you can see her as she goes out through the gate, and the gate shuts behind her. She thinks, oh, that was really good. I'd quite like another bit to eat. So you can see her, and she doubles back and tries to get into the gate again. The gate will let her in, but then it suddenly reads the chip around her neck and says, nah, you're not allowed to have another feed. And the gate pushes her just neatly out the gate, and she pops out. Get almost little smoke coming out of her ears, saying, damn it, you know.
I think I need one of them for myself, Jill.
Oh, no, we haven't.
Yeah.
Sounds great. That sounds great.
So
We've got another dairy farmer on here, Jill, and that's Anne. And have you got similar setup, Anne? I'll come to you in Anne Coleman. Sorry.
Oh.
Anne, do you have a similar setup to that?
Oh, Anne. Hi, Anne Kerr. Yes, hello,
Yeah.
Anne.
Hello, hello. And mid biscuit. Yeah, that was delicious. Thank you. No, we don't have robots. My son-in-law has robots, though. We've got a swing over parlour manned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're very clever, the robotic milkers.
Yeah.
I think actually one thing you notice is when you walk into the shed, or the steading, I should say, is that cows are actually really quite happy. They seem quite content. And this is the reason, is that they can come and milk whenever they feel like it.
Mhm.
So, yeah, they're not standing around waiting with their legs crossed.
Yes, and they're very happy with people going in amongst them too. And you know that they just do their own thing and ignore the people, basically.
Yeah. It's a big, fantastic invention. The only problem we had this year was it got down to -16 here, and Cameron was on the phone. It was about 2 o'clock in the morning, so Callum and Cameron were down heating up pipes to try and, but they eventually, it was about 2 hours, I think they got one of them to go, and then managed to get some more heaters in there. So they weren't held up or anything like that, but yeah, it was quite a worry when all your pipes freeze in the dairy.
It is. It is.
Well, we've never had it down to -16 before, not since I've been here anyway, but it's been bitterly cold winter.
Exceptionally cold, yes. Yeah, we had a cold winter maybe about 18 years ago, but yeah, this is the next one.
Yes, yeah. Poor Australia's been flooded. Sydney has been flooded too.
Yes.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I was
Extreme weather.
I was talking to a cattle farmer in New South Wales on Friday, last Friday.
Yeah.
And he was bemoaning the fact that they'd had a drought for so long, and then 2 days later there was this terrible flooding, and it's like, wow.
Well, because the ground is so dry, you know, the water just doesn't go in.
No.
You know, it's hard rock. Oh gosh, they've had it tough over there. Fires and floods.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, all the extremes.
So
It is.
Do you
house?
Sorry, Jill. Do you have a very early start? Like Anne has a very early start every day.
Well, Callum, he gets the milk around about 6 o'clock in the morning. And of course, then he has to go, once he's got the milk and started the pasteurizer, then he jumps in the tractor and he has to then empty the ground tank with all the whey on it. So he then spreads the whey out onto the fields. great when it's not wet, but when when the fields are really wet, we have a little bit of trouble. But he usually does that first thing in the morning, because all the washings from the dairy go to an underground tank.
Right.
Yeah, we did have one whiskey company that were interested in making whiskey out of the whey, but since the pandemic, they haven't been back in touch. But there's all sorts of things. I mean, pig farmers don't come and get the whey anymore for their pigs.
Yeah.
So it just gets spread on the fields.
Yeah.
So it's a very good start for cattle. I mosey on down about 9 o'clock.
Oh, that's nice.
Very civilized.
Not like you, Annie. Not like you. You have to get mega early every day.
Oh, well, we have breakfast at 5:30, so I'm up for breakfast. But
that's all right.
yeah.
Thank you, Anne. Thanks. That's great.
My mother had no sympathy for people who couldn't get up in the morning because she was a land girl during the war on a dairy farm, and they were on double summertime, so they were up at 3 in the morning. And for the rest of her life, she never slept beyond 7. She had absolutely no time for people who couldn't get up in the morning. It was hand milking when they started, but they got machinery in while she was there.
And Margaret, has that kind of come on to your generation as well? Are you an early riser, or are you?
I can be. I am in the summer. I tend not to be in the winter.
No.
Not since I never. When I was working, I never had any trouble getting up. I don't bother so much now that I'm retired.
Yeah.
And my mother.
Can I just ask about some of the other cheeses that you import?
Sure.
Do you at all import anything from Finland? Because my daughter lives there and they have this wonderful cheese called leipäjuusto, which is bread cheese.
Yeah.
And I just love it. And you cannot get it because it's a fresh cheese.
That's right. Yes.
I would really love to find somebody who either made it here or managed to import it.
I think you'll find that there's an awful lot of cheeses like the fresh cheese that you can't buy here, and some of that too is the longevity of the cheese as it comes in. It would be the Food Standard Scotland not wanting you to have it in here in case it spreads something. So it's a matter of finding someone, a Finnish person, to actually make it for you, or to get the recipe and make it yourself. But it's
I have tried making it myself, but I can't get the quality of milk.
No.
Well, the thing is, you would better then to try it with a full fat Jersey milk that you can get in the supermarket. So you need to
not homogenized or pasteurized though.
Well, you can buy in England. You can buy unpasteurized milk, and you can buy it online. So you want a full fat unpasteurized milk. So you can get that online from someone in England. You know, you'll find that. Probably if you're looking at Neil's yard in London, they might be able to get something up, but they're a bit expensive. But I would perhaps just have a look online, because there are dairy farmers that will ship it up to you, and they're allowed to do that. But in Scotland, it's against the law to have pasteurized cheeses.
Thank you.
So sorry. The only cheese that we've got close, not finished, but it's close up there, is your toast, and the brown cheese. You know,
this leipäjuusto is more like halloumi. It's the squeaky cheese.
Yeah,
because
that's right.
Yeah.
But you should be able to make that yourself. Give it a go.
I have had one go. I have had one go with a recipe, and it made cheese-ish. It was edible, but it wasn't what I expected.
That's not what you want to say on the packet, is it? Cheese. No.
Yeah, it doesn't sound a ring, does it?
No. It doesn't. Thanks very much, Anne. Thank you. I thought we might show some pictures. Some of your pictures.
Right.
Yeah, do you want to do that?
Yes, I can.
So I'm just going to share them on Jill's behalf. So this is
Right.
the shop, yeah.
Yeah. This is the cheese room. Now, I have to tell you, ladies, this was not last Christmas. This was the Christmas before. So it looks terribly impressive, but we don't normally have that many cheeses. So, you know, this is extremely busy. Now, we've got such a small room, but this is when we were allowed to have sort of 4 staff in there and 20 people. But now, of course, due to COVID, we can only have one bubble or one family in the cheese room at a time, which has been quite difficult to manage. But for Christmas, we did get a marquee outside just for shelter for people to line up. But that's what it normally looks like at Christmas time.
Yeah, lovely.
Yeah.
So how many of those cheeses there then, the varieties, are yours, and how many, you know, percentage wise?
Oh, well, we make we've got about 9 products.
Yeah, great.
So some of our latest ones are Gouda with cumin seeds.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, and Gouda with garlic and nettle.
Ooh.
And that proved really popular. That was Callum's. Callum wakes up in the middle of the night and says, "Oh, I think I'll read."
Yeah.
Okay. So the Goudas have actually really proved quite popular. We won an awful lot of awards, not last year, 2019, with our age Gouda, which is 2 years old. But we can't actually make enough of that because, you know, of the space in the maturing room. So it's quite difficult to, when you're making older cheeses, where do you put them? That's the thing.
Yeah, the Gouda is very large wheels, isn't it? So
yes. So it's large. So you're aiming sort of around about 12 to 14 kilos, but they're a lot wider than the typical bandaged cheeses, which are a lot narrower. But this is, you'll notice there's quite a lot of soft cheeses and things down the front of this photo, and lots of camemberts, and I think there's a raclette there. There's, you know, all sorts of the different ones there. But that was an extremely busy Christmas. Yeah.
And then this is your typical cheese board. You've got a lot of people.
Right. Well, this is one we use really for the press and things. And you'll notice bottom left, you'll see that's the cumin one with the cumin seeds in it. Nice. And our brie up the top, called Clava Brie, and it right in the middle is a dot of Crowdy. Nice. So the one on the right is it's about 20 past. That's the smoked one, and then the one between the brie and the smoked cheese, that's your Cromwell. I'm trying to think what else is there. There's cheddar, Dunlop. Gosh, we may have repeated a couple of them, just turn them over to make them look good. I can't remember. But photography is something, you know, now, because everybody sort of eats with their eyes, and with the you know, Facebook and you know, social media, you have to really have excellent photos. I take a lot of the photos really with my iPhone, and you find the quality actually is not too bad. So the next one is this is inside the production area, and we're making cheddar this day, and this is going onto the draining table. So the curd is coming out of the vat and being pumped across to the draining table. The whey is actually going down underneath the floor into the underground tank. So you're left with curds, the whey's gone and you're left with the curd. Then what they do, you probably see it on TV at times, they cheddar it. So they make it block. This is before you put the salt in. So once you put the salt in, that's when you shred it and you put it into the molds. But you'll see on the right-hand side, there's a window, a square window, and that looks into the shop. Yeah, that's into the shop. The doors behind Peter there is the brie room. So we make the brie in a separate room, and the reason why we do this is because we don't want the white of the brie jumping into the other cheeses. this is one thing when your dairy makes all sorts of different cheeses, you've got to be very, very careful of separation so that you don't really infect your other cheeses. So that's where a lot of the technical comes into it, and you need to fill out a form. So every time you move from one room to another, you've got to tick a box, basically. Yeah.
Very interesting.
So the next photo, this is getting ready for cheddaring. So what this does, once he's made all the he's pushed all the curd up, that actually then it sits there, and you wait for the temperature to drop and the pH to drop. So you're constantly testing it with your little meter. Now, this is the sort of thing that you would have done by hand years and years and years ago. But now, of course, it's all done by different probes and different meters and things. So once it's at a right temperature, he will start shredding it.
Yeah. And then
this here is this is the bandaging I was talking about. So this is a 25 kilo block, and you'll notice there's a smaller one that's being bandaged at the moment. That's actually only 6 kilos. So we, in October, we send 3 pallets of whiskey cheese at 6 kilos, 6 kilos each, and that goes to Germany. Now that was prior to Brexit. So we'll just have to wait and see. We love the Germans because the Germans put in a cheese order in January or February or March, and that's they pre-order it ready for October, and they sell that at their Christmas market. Germans love organic cheese, and that's what our cheeses are, organic and vegetarian.
Whiskey as well, don't they, Jill? So they double.
Yeah.
They put whiskey and cheese together.
Well, the whiskey is we only put 4% of whiskey in, but the cheese is very light. We use the whiskey really to enhance the cheese. So you are getting a slight whiskey flavor, but you're not getting a whoosh of whiskey. I think you've got to be careful in the supermarket when people buy whiskey cheese. It has been injected with whiskey, like the smoke. So some smoked cheeses you buy market will be injected with smoke essence.
Isn't what you want.
Not what you want, no.
Not when you can get properly smoked cheese.
The traditional smoke, it always tells you on the label if it's a traditional smoke.
Yes. Elizabeth Lindsay, is Elizabeth Lindsay here? Elizabeth got a question for you, I think. Elizabeth?
Oh, down the bottom. Yes, I can see you, Elizabeth. Hello.
Where are you? Oh, yes, sorry.
Yeah.
No, not in the right place. Elizabeth Lindsay, there we go. I see you now.
Could you make cottage cheese?
Cottage cheese?
Yeah.
No, we don't make cottage cheese, but we do make crowdy. So it's a little bit different, just not lumpy like cottage cheese, but you're still getting that fresh. There is a dairy called, I don't know if any of you know, called Yester Dairy, Y-E-S-T-E-R Dairy, and that's just in Edinburgh, and they make cottage cheese, mozzarella, an awful lot of soft cheeses. Yeah.
Nice.
You can get all these things online now.
Yeah. Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you. And I think we had a comment from, hang on one second, we had a comment from Elizabeth in Old Meldrum. Are you there, Elizabeth?
Oh, yeah.
You still with us, Elizabeth? Yeah.
I'm still here. Yeah, I was on mute.
Oh, yeah, hi. Yeah, no, don't worry. Hang on a sec.
I've been to the dairy. I visited it when we were on holiday. This is just a couple of years ago, and I love the yogurts that you do. They're really tasty.
Yeah. We still make yogurt. We make about 200 pots a week. Oh, sorry, a fortnight. So we only make it fortnightly. But that actually just goes to a local wholesalers here, or we sell it at the shop. We don't send it out, or because it's quite difficult. It's a 500 gram pot. It's quite difficult to post out.
Yeah.
We've had a disaster. We try, but few disasters, but it's lovely.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
thanks
it's
for
really
coming.
nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a lovely setup they've got, isn't it, Elizabeth?
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Thank you, Elizabeth. Now, if you don't mind, Jill, I wondered if I could show the wedding cheeses that you do. A picture of that.
Oh, right.
Mm.
I don't know if I did. I send you one. I
You
don't.
didn't, but I've got one. If you,
We have.
yeah. I mean, I'd imagine you haven't done many weddings this year, but
Oh,
I got married too early to see your lovely wedding cheese, or else I would have had it at my wedding.
oh, yeah. I mean, it's so popular. We find. Oh, there.
Yeah,
That was.
aren't they great?
Yeah. So that for a press presentation that we did, you can see it's on the it's Castle Stewart Golf Club bar. Actually, you'll see.
I know that bar, actually. Yeah.
We do a lot of those. We find that it was quite sad actually, because beginning of last year or March last year, they had brides up just in tears, you know, because their wedding had been cancelled, and some had sort of deferred it on further and for this year, and some have still. We've got an awful lot of orders just online. You know, we're holding back. But it is quite difficult, you know. It's so upsetting. Oh gosh, there was one girl, she was inconsolable. Got everything organised, and I think the wedding was going to be just around about Christmas last year, Easter last year. And of course she couldn't go ahead with it. And, you know, she put so much effort in it, carefully choosing cheeses and things. So what we do is we have the bride and often the parents, which can be a little bit hair raising at time. I actually just give them a cup of coffee and sometimes walk away because Dad's worrying about how much money it's going to cost. So we can so one of those cheeses there, the second one, not the first one with the heart, but the second one, you look at around about 20 kilos maybe of cheese there, 18 to 20 kilos of cheese. So that cheesecake would probably be around about between 150 and 200 pounds. Yeah. So you've got to think, well, if you work out per head, per guest, it actually works out quite cheaply. And also now there seems to be, or seems to be the trend for brides to have a weekend party. You know, they invite the family back. Yeah. And a lot of the cheese is the next day. Yeah. So it's still cheaper than a fruit cake or a cake, which is around about £600 to £800 now, apparently.
Yeah, I think we've got quite a few bakers on today.
All right.
And I know that quite a few of them have made their own wedding. Well, not maybe their own wedding cakes, but their daughter's wedding cakes or their son's wedding cakes. So they're very good at traditional cakes, but the cheese cake is something else. Very nice.
To make a wedding cake such a talent, girls, you're really clever, because I certainly wouldn't take that on, but you know, especially they're just, I don't know, so fancy. Wonderful.
Yes, yeah. Does anyone have any questions for Jill before we let her go into
is the shop, sorry Jill, is the shop accessible by public transport?
From a bus from Nan, there is buses from Nan to Ardisia, or from Inverness to Ardisia. So if you tell the bus driver, we're just on the outskirts of Ardisia, and he'll let you off at the front at the driveway. Yeah,
it'd be a bus, 2 trains, and
another
bus at the other end.
Because Cath's in Selkirkshire.
I must admit,
my goodness.
Jill, I get mine from Wester Hardmere shop. Should they stock their cheeses?
Excellent. Well, they're wonderful, actually, Wester Hardmere. Gosh, you know, they really do.
Yeah. Joan, you had a question, yeah?
Yes. I got my cheese out and opened up the packets and left it out for about an hour. Is that the best way to serve your cheese?
usually, Joan, it's quite a good idea that your cheeses warm up. Now, it really depends. If you've got a cheese like, say, a camembert, you like camembert, but you don't like it too strong, is eat it a little bit cooler. You know, don't leave it out for a couple of hours, because the longer you leave your cheese out, the stronger it will get. So if you want it strong, just eat a little bit, you know, chilled, not straight out of the fridge, but chilled. But yes, I mean, if you don't really, the harder cheeses, if they're vacuum packed, you've got to be quite careful. If you leave them in somewhere cool and it's not cool enough, they will sweat. And then that's very pleasant. But you'll find in the dead of winter, you know, we leave meat and cooked meat and things like that in the vestibule because there's no heating. So often if you don't want to pop your cheeses in the fridge, then you're better really to buy a big lump of it. We're talking lumps. We're not. It's always a lump of cheese. You just got to be careful that it doesn't dry out and crack. But what I have to say, ladies, is never, ever, ever throw out your cheese. So if something is cracked and it looks a bit dry and you think, oh, that doesn't look very appetizing, put it in a freezer bag, pop them in the freezer, and then the next time you're making a pasta sauce, a soup or a casserole, you throw all your bits of cheese in, skins and all, and even if it's wax, and they'll melt down, the wax won't, and you just fish that out before you serve it. So any rinds, anything that you've got, any doesn't matter if it's wax, just pop it in a freezer bag.
Great.
Yeah, that's the Italian.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joan. Thank you. Any more questions, guys? Or comments? Hello, Elizabeth. Hello.
I remember as a little girl, and in the grocer's shop, Mother would say, "Is it a good roaster?" Because I remember the lovely soda scones, you know, the scones and the cheese bubbling on top, or tatty scones and it bubbled, and then another lid on top.
Oh,
yeah. So in those days, there would just really be cheddar.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah. Yes, and I think actually in those days the cheddar was a lot stronger. You know, you used to pop it in your mouth and you could almost feel it sort of, you know, eating away your tongue. Nowadays, things have changed a little bit. People like sweeter cheeses. So that means that the cheddars are not as paint stripping as they were. And you'll find, I think some of the bakers, I don't know if all the bakers, if they're using cheese, they'll use powdered cheese because it's stronger, you know, for their scones and things, and they'll put a little bit of grated cheese on top. But a lot of the cheeses now are going a little bit sweeter. Doesn't mean they're adding sugar, it just means that they use a different starter, which is slightly sweeter. Yeah. But the cheddars that they originally made were just fantastic years and years ago.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth. That's great. Thank you. Anne Coleman said, dried up cheese. That'd be chance would be a fine thing.
Oh yes,
exactly.
But you don't dry cheese in the house.
Not in ours.
No, not in ours. No. Any more questions, ladies, gentlemen? No. Okay. Well, wait. What was the? Let's have a little straw poll. Which was your favourite cheese? Hands up if the Cromwell was your favourite. Oh, yeah, couple.
Yeah.
Hands up for the cheddar. Sorry, cheddar.
You like that? Yeah.
Two hands up. Look, we've got a few two hands up. Hands up for the smoked cheddar. Oh,
yeah.
Well. And hands up if you put your hand up every time there. Well, thank you very much, guys, and let's say thank you very much to Jill.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank
you can call in, order online if you want to. So it's just www.connage.co.uk, and we use a 24-hour delivery.
Great. Well, I mean, everyone was delighted when they had ordered and it turned up. And
that's
so.
Well, thank you, ladies, for your support. It's been terrific meeting you all.
Yes.
Well
done.
Do you have a minimum amount to order?
No, you can order whatever you like. Yeah. And if you have trouble with the website, you can always phone me. There's a number on there, the landline. You can just phone me. We can do the order over the phone. We do that for quite a few people, actually.
Yeah, great.
Thank you.
Well done for your first proper Zoom then, Jill, as well. Yes.
Lovely to talk to you all. You've helped me brilliantly. It's terrific. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
That was good. That was really brilliant.